Welcome, everyone. We're here for another installment of Community Chats, and I'm excited to be here with Jenna Umbrecht. Jenna is an amazing food systems leader here in Montgomery County, has been a fantastic volunteer for the campaign. Thank you so much for having me over.
Thanks for being here, Brandy.
No,
And thanks for letting my dog in the shot.
Obviously, you have to include the babies. It's a whole family affair. So one of the things I'm super excited to talk about today is this idea of collaborative governance. So I would love to hear from you, like what's interesting about collaborative governance for you?
The terms collaboration and participation, I mean, those are ideals, values that guide my work in food systems, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense that they would also guide one's work in governance and in politics.
Yeah.
I was in college when I was first introduced to this idea of helping versus serving. And it never occurred to me until then that there really is a difference between wanting to be in a position of decision-making authority because you think something needs to be fixed, or you think that people need to be helped. Certainly those are noble causes, but they might lead you to do the work without making sure that other voices besides your own, other ideas besides your own, other solutions besides your own are brought to bear. Whereas if you think about it as a serving profession, to be elected because you are, serving the community, for me that word really means work between equals. It is, I have something to contribute, but so do you. But I am not the sole expert on everything. No one person can be. And so for me, it's about working alongside other people to make the whole work of community happen.
Yeah. And I love what you're talking about and the idea of serving alongside and everyone bringing their expertise. I mean, it changes really the dynamics of power around politics, around policy making, around, the way that we do service organizations and programs, so many different things, because it can be a really dehumanizing way to be viewed if the only way that you're looked at is based on what you don't have as opposed to what you do.
I agree with you entirely. It is about sharing power. It is about, instead of doing a needs assessment of a community, let's do a power assessment. Right? Let's figure out what assets are already there that we can build upon. And I think it's also important to get community buy-in. I mean, we all want our solutions to be sustainable.
Right.
And they can only be that way if the whole group of us has some skin in the game.
Because when you get to craft it, when you get to shape it, then the sense of ownership, but also the sense of rightness, of fit is very, very different. And you can see yourself in the solution, and you can see your community in the solution. I think the very first time that you and I met, it was at a conversation that was talking about how when we think about emergency food programs and services in our communities, how we also begin to make this shift from sort of the resourced and needy to a shift where people are creating together the kind of food system that we really need. So how do you think a thing like collaborative governance could have an impact on the way that we think about our food system locally in Montgomery County?
Well, I often hear a sentiment, whether explicit or implicit, that if you're in a situation where you need food assistance, then you should be happy with whatever you get,
Yes.
And I am a firm believer that, in those situations where suddenly we are faced with a situation where we don't have the means to put enough food or the types of food we want on the table, the first thing that goes out the window is choice, and is that feeling of power that I have the agency, right, to make the decisions that are best for me and my family. If we have individuals participating in the conversation of what our emergency food systems look like, then that food that is shared or the solutions that are arrived at are done so knowing about the diversity of culture and medical situation, lifestyle changes. So all of those things, food is so connected to people's identity and culture, and to take that away from individuals just because they're in a particular situation where they need to rely
Mhm.
on an outside support,
Right.
it's just unacceptable to me. I think it comes back exactly to what we were talking about before in terms of people being treated as only someone who has a need.
Mhm.
And so that creates a lot of stigma around the idea of
Absolutely.
asking for help when it comes to food or any number of things. But the idea that, you come to a food pantry to get food, but maybe you're also there as a volunteer.
Mhm.
Maybe you're there to teach a class. You become sort of a member in
Yeah.
this community effort to make sure everyone is nourished.
Right.
And then it's no longer a stigmatized act. It
Mhm.
is just another thing that we are all doing to help take care of one another.
Yeah. It's really beautiful. And thank you for tuning in and for joining another one of our chats with community members. Again, it's just such a pleasure to be able to share some of the things that I've gotten to do. And so, again, if you are excited about this kind of vision, these kinds of conversations, we want you to be making your voice heard and helping to shape the policy outcomes that you get. The primary is on July 19th. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.
Nice!
Woohoo! Good job!
Good job, Art. You only whined a little bit.